Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to create a red carpet ready look for acne prone skin, or for people that have really troublesome skin. Sometimes it's really intimidating to try to create a look that's going to be photographed well when you have problem skin. Trust me, I know what that's like. But over the years I've collected several tips and tricks, and so I'm going to be showing you how to create that red carpet fresh kind of look in a way that disguises your blemishes or problem areas as best as possible. And I'm also going to be doing it using all drugstore products. So this look right here is what I'm going to be showing you guys how to achieve today, taking problem skin and turning it into a red carpet photograph ready makeup look. I'm super excited about this, you guys, so let's get right into it. So I've already done my brows off camera. I did my drugstore brow routine. If you guys want to see an in-depth video, I will link that down below. I used the L'Oreal Brow Stylist Shape and Fill Pencil and then carved it out with the Maybelline Superstay Better Skin Concealer, and this is where we are at right now. So I think for this look, I'm going to start with the eyes, but I will actually prep the skin before going into the eyes. And the reason I like to do this sometimes is because it allows the skin enough time to drink any moisture that it needs and kind of preps the skin so that the products that you apply before have time to kind of work with your skin before you apply foundation. One thing that I've learned is with acne prone skin, usually you have some texture that comes along with it and maybe some dryness. And no matter what foundation you use, no matter how full coverage the foundation is, if your base as far as texture goes or as far as dryness goes, the foundation will not look as good as it could. So you're going to want to make sure if you do have flakiness to gently exfoliate your face as you wash it beforehand. And then before you go into your makeup, prep the skin with hydrating products. I'm going to start off by spraying my skin with the Mario Badescu facial spray. Typically when you have acne prone skin, you're gonna have areas that are oily, if not your entire face. And a lot of times people with oily skin get really scared to use hydrating products, but I feel like it can really help to make your makeup look better, especially if you're using really matte and powdery products on top. Like the hydrating lotions underneath combined with the oil in your skin can actually end up looking really nice if you work with it the right way. So just try it out. Everybody is different, so make sure that whatever you're doing works well for you. And make sure to try out your makeup. If you do have a big event, try it out before to make sure that everything wears well, take photographs with it. So next I'm going to go in with a hydrating primer. I have two that I really like. The first one is the L'Oreal Visible Radiance Booster Brightening Primer, and the second is the Maybelline Master Prime Hydrate and Smooth Primer. So either one of these will work. For me personally, if you do have texture, again, we want to steer away from luminosity in the wrong areas. So I think I can't decide which one I want to use. You know what? I'm going to go in with the L'Oreal Visible Lift one. It's been a while since I've used this, so I'm just going to go ahead and apply this all over the skin, and this will allow the product to set properly into the skin as we do our eyes, so that by the time we get around to the base products, it'll be nice and prepped. I do like the radiance that gives a lot, actually. So now we're going to move into the eyes. The reason I'm doing the eyes first is because we're going to be using some glittery products and there will be some fallout, so I want to be able to have a chance to clean up any fallout if there is some. I'm going to go ahead and prep the eyelids with some concealer. I love this concealer from Maybelline. This is the Instant Age Rewind Concealer. I'm going to be using the shade Light, and I'm just going to pat this all over the eyelid to cancel out any discoloration, redness. It makes the eyeshadow colors more true to color if you have a nice, flat, flawless base to work with. We want to create the illusion of really nice, flawless skin, so that really helps kind of brighten the eyes and make it look really nice. Then I'm going to go into my Maybelline Fit Me Loose Powder in the shade 10. I'm just going to take some of that and press it over top of the concealer to create a powdery base for the eyeshadow to glide over. Oh, I should probably mention I'm taking inspiration off of a red carpet look that Patrick Ta created. He created this look on Allison Williams, and I just thought it was so fresh and so beautiful, yet red carpet glam. This is kind of what I'm taking inspiration from. Obviously, we're using drugstore products. So now that we have a really nice base on our eyes, we are ready for eyeshadow. I'm going to use the e.l.f. Mad for Matte eyeshadow palette to begin with. I'm actually going to start off with this shade right here, this bone color, and I'm going to put this underneath the brows and work it down to the crease. Next, I'm going to be mixing these two shades right here. We're just going to create a really nice transition shade. So I'm starting out in the crease, then I'm just buffing it back and forth and kind of moving it up to that first eyeshadow shade that we applied and just going back and forth until everything looks nice and blended. It's important to remember to play up your really good features. So if for some reason you've got a breakout or something like that, play up another one of your features that you really like, maybe your eyes or maybe your lips or something like that. Draw attention to that area instead, and then people are hardly going to even notice that you have texture on your skin or whatever it might be. It's a really good way to distract people from your blemishes or texture. I'm bringing what's left on the brush into this area here, just lightly. I don't want too much product, but I really do like to define that area sometimes. I find that it slims the nose down a little bit and just brings out the natural contours there. I'm going back into that first shade actually, on the other end of this double-sided brush, and I'm going to put this all over the lid, kind of going from the inner corner to the very outside of the lid, but I'm keeping it low toward the lash line. I'm not moving it up to the crease. I'm just going slightly below. Next, I'm going to hop into this brown shade here. It's kind of like a grayish brown. We're going to add a little bit more definition on the outer portion of the eye. I'm just kind of using circular motions and applying this close to the lash line first, and then taking what's left on the brush and keeping those circular motions, kind of moving it through that outer V of the eye and then into the crease slightly. Okay, I'm super excited to be using this. You guys saw in my last tutorial, I picked up the L'Oreal Crushed Foil Metallic Eyeshadow. This one's in the shade Crushed Stone. Well, I also picked up the shade Diamond Dust. It's just a beautiful shimmery shadow. I swatched it already, but I haven't put it on my eyes ever yet, and I can't wait to. I'm just gonna take that on my finger, press this onto my eyelid. Oh my goodness. I'm keeping it low toward the lash line and kind of mostly toward the inner corner first, and then just patting the extras over the entire lid. That is so pretty. And then I like to take my crease brush and just kind of knock off any glitter that went up too high. That is red carpety, are you kidding? I absolutely love this. So now I'm just taking my Burt's Bees brown eyeliner. This is the Nourishing Eyeliner in the shade Warm Brown. And I'm creating a really thin line up against the lash line and also in the waterline, in the tight line up here, right underneath the lashes. I'm just creating a little bit of definition there. Now I'm going to be taking a makeup wipe and just sharpening up the edges of my eyeshadow, as well as cleaning up any glitter fallout. All right, so now it's time to take care of these blemishes. We're going to even out the skin tone, make the skin look really nice, and also use products that will photograph really, really well. So since we already have the primer on, I'm just going to go ahead and go straight into foundation. This is one of my favorite foundations at the drugstore. It's so amazing. It photographs beautifully. I can always count on it, and the coverage is amazing. I'm going to be using the Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless Foundation. When you have acne and texture, it's really important to try to stick to more matte complexion products. Obviously, you can add highlight and shimmer to the areas that will really help make your skin look a little bit better, but if you highlight some texture or blemishes or things like that, it actually makes the problem appear to be worse underneath your makeup. So here's what I like to do. I like to start with a thinner layer first, starting in the center of the face and just going over the entire complexion with a lighter layer of foundation, blending what's left down the neck, and then taking my beauty blender, I'm just going to press that into the skin. So from here, I like to kind of take a look at the complexion. We have a nice thin layer across the entire face, but I can still see where blemishes are showing through, and then other areas look a little bit better. So then I'm just going to stipple a tiny bit more foundation over the areas that need a little bit more coverage as far as redness goes. I'm not as concerned about the blemishes themselves yet, we will get to that, but just add a little bit more coverage to the areas alone instead of an entire, second layer all over the whole face, because a lot of times that's not actually necessary. But if you're paying attention to where your problem areas really are, and then letting your good skin, if you've got places that look a little bit more clear, let those areas shine through as much as possible. So now we're going to assess the skin one more time. I see that there's areas that need a little bit more coverage still. So a good trick if you guys want to conceal is, if you use concealer, make sure that it is the exact same color as your skin or foundation. Any lighter and it will actually highlight the blemish. So I'm just tapping in product around and over the blemish. And this bottle of foundation is really new, but if you have one that you've had for a little bit, especially with the Maybelline Fit Me, if there's a foundation that's kind of hardening around the cap or inside the cap, take a little bit of that and apply it over your blemish, because then it's the exact same shade as your foundation, but it has a slightly thicker consistency and it works really well as a concealer. I'm being really, really gentle around the blemish to make sure that I don't pull up any product. I just pulled out my Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless, and you can see all the foundation that's kind of hardened around the cap. I'm gonna try to take a little bit of this. It is a little bit darker though than my 115 shade, but I'm just going to pat this over. Aha! And really make sure to blend it into the entire area. I feel like that really worked slightly better than the other foundation because it's just a little bit darker, so it didn't highlight it as much. That looks a lot more invisible. I'm making sure to kind of blend it all around the skin, especially since that's a slightly darker foundation shade, just to make sure it's nice and covered. It's sometimes really difficult with texture that kind of like pulls through the skin, like this blemish. So these are just things that can really help to conceal it, but like don't freak out if it's not completely perfect. Sometimes it's easy to get frustrated over that, but I mean, it's definitely not as noticeable as it used to be, that's for sure. Now, I don't want this blemish going anywhere, so I'm taking my Rimmel Stay Matte translucent setting powder, and I'm just going to lightly tap over that. I'm using a really light hand. I just want to set that immediately so it doesn't go anywhere. So now we're going to conceal the center of the face. I'm going to go back into my Maybelline Age Rewind concealer. For the center of the face, I really like to mix the shades fair and light. So I just applied the light shade down, and I'm going to add just touches of the fair shade right over top of that. I always like to buy 2 or 3 shades of concealer just in case. Like, you're going to want to have something that matches your skin tone, just in case you've got a blemish, so that you can cover it up nicely without highlighting. And then you want a concealer or two a little bit lighter for highlighting under the eyes and down the center of the face. They're just really nice to have around. You can kind of switch around using different shades depending on your skin concerns. So next I'm going to take my Maybelline Fit Me Loose Powder. This is in the shade 10. And I'm going to start to set the cheek area with this. And I like this because it keeps your skin matte, but it also has kind of a tint to it. So it provides further coverage while setting your face. I'm not going to use too much of it though, because I don't want heavy layers. But I do want to make sure that this foundation isn't going to budge. So I'm just kind of pouncing it over the entire outer portion of my face. I'm going to use a slightly different color for the center. I am going to set the sides and underside of the nose with this though. And then, my friends, we are going to take the same powder just in a lighter shade. This one's in the shade 05 Fair. And I'm going to use this to set the areas that we put concealer. So underneath the eyes. It's really important to create dimension in your face. So using lighter colors down the center of the face and then using kind of darker colors out here and contouring really help in photographs especially, so that your face doesn't lose its shape and dimension. So you kind of have to exaggerate almost your already existing contours and highlights so that when it's photographed, you don't miss out on that. All right, so now we're gonna finish up the eyes. I'm gonna be going back into the first 2 shades that we used on the eyes on the top lid. We're going to start to define the lower lash line with this, kind of connecting it to the shadows out here and then buffing it out underneath the lash line. Based off of the photo that I'm referring to, it looks like she has a tiny bit of shimmer on the lower lash line, but not too much. So I just wet the brush with the Mario Badescu facial spray that we were using earlier. I'm gonna make sure to tap off the extra, and I'm just going to try to press a tiny bit of this on the lower lash line as well. So now we're gonna go back into face. You guys, I forgot to mention, thank you so much for your positive feedback on my last video. I cannot express to you enough how fun that was for me to film and how excited I am still about some of these products that I was able to try out in that video. One of those products, as you guys know, was this bronzer right here, the L'Oreal True Match Lumi Bronze It Bronzer. Mine is in the shade Light. I absolutely love this stuff. I just think it provides that perfect sculpting, bronzing look without like looking too muddy, and it also has a tiny bit of a sheen to it. So it really makes the skin look healthy, but it's not sparkly. So it's not going to emphasize texture and things like that. So I just like to take it on an angled brush like this and just press it into the skin, starting underneath the cheekbones and then working it through the hairline around the forehead. I also really like to make sure to get some bronzer right on the temples. I just feel like that kind of slims the face down. I love to add a little extra bronzer in photos just because with a flash especially, you can tend to get a little washed out. So I'm also dragging the bronzer down the neck, and however far down your neckline is, I should have mentioned that before, but you can also bring down foundation really lightly across your neckline depending on the shirt or the dress that you're wearing, just so that everything looks the same color. And then I always take whatever brush I was using for setting the face and I just lightly kind of buff it over top of the bronzer so that there's no splotchy parts and so that it really looks nice and natural. I'm going to take that same bronzer and use it to sculpt the sides of the nose. I also like to add a little bit underneath the lip, and then I'll take that same brush and just really lightly buff over top of the nose contour as well. well so it's not too harsh, but so that we get some definition there. So next, let's add blush. If you notice that on your cheeks there's not too much texture or you don't have a blemish on your cheeks, go ahead and use something more luminous. I personally love the Milani Baked Blush in the shade Luminoso. That would be a really great blush option. For me, I feel like I do have a little bit of texture around that area, so I'm gonna go in with a matte one. I've been using this a ton. It's one of my favorite blushes actually in general. It's from Flower Beauty. It's the Flower Pots in the shade Sweet Pea. And this actually looks really similar to the blush color that Patrick Ta used. But I'm just taking that really, really lightly and starting to just pat over the cheeks. Again, we don't want to wipe away all of our hard work. So when you're going over top of areas with blemishes, especially with blush or bronzer or whatever, patting motions really do help to make sure that you're not wiping away the foundation underneath, because that would be a problem. And I'm pulling it back up toward the ears. I just personally really like how that looks. I think it looks youthful. So I've noticed that when you're doing a full coverage complexion, for me personally, I love to do like a hydrated layer. So a hydrating primer, liquid foundations, and then you go in and set everything with powder, and then you go ahead and seal it all with something liquid again. So it's kind of like a sandwich, like liquid, powder, liquid. I feel like when I do that, you get that full coverage look, but it doesn't look powdery or too cakey. Like it really helps all the makeup kind of sink in and look a little bit more like skin, even though you are covering something up. So before I set the face, I'm going to go into highlighter. I'm going to be using the Essence Pure Nude Highlighter. I love this. I don't want something too chunky or too sparkly. I just want my skin to look dewy in the right places without emphasizing any texture. So this for me is the perfect highlight for that. I'm just going to take it on a highlight brush. Be sure to pay attention to where your texture is. I feel like I'm good over here, so I'm just going to go ahead and really lightly start to buff this onto the high points of my cheek. And I love to kind of bring it to the front of the cheek as well if you're able to. Now, unfortunately, I have texture all over my skin, so it's not going to be perfect. Like there's going to be little tiny bumps that you're going to be able to see, but when I'm photographed, I do want it to look somewhat radiant in that area. So I'm not going to put too much, but I really do want to add something to the cheekbones. And then I love adding a highlight down the center of the nose. I start off in the very middle of the eyes. I just feel like that looks nice for some reason. And then I'm going to take the highlight down the center of the nose, but I'm not going to go all the way down. Cupid's bow. Keep in mind, if you've got a blemish for some reason right here, sometimes I have that, you may want to skip this step. Or if you have one on your nose or whatever, like try to work around your blemish areas. That way you're not like highlighting the problem. I love this highlighter, oh my goodness. Highlight the inner corner of my eye. We want to draw some attention to the eyes, and putting a highlight in the inner corner really helps to just kind of open up the eyes and make them look brighter and more awake. It just completes the look, in my opinion. I love an inner corner highlight. And then I just pop what's left on the brush right under the brows. So in the reference photo, she has light brown eyeliner in the waterline as well, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And Patrick actually also lined this area of the eye. So it looks like there's just eyeliner all in the inner rim on both the top and bottom. So that's what I'm going to mimic. So now I'm going to set the face. The reason why I'm doing this is because I don't like to put mascara on or lip color on or even set my brows before I've set the powder down. I just feel like that can kind of cause my mascara to run sometimes. So I'm gonna go ahead and take my Morphe Continuous Setting Mist. I'm almost out of this, so I hope that I'm able to set the entire face. I'm just going to kind of drench the face, actually. Oh no, we're running out. Mainly focusing on the outside though. I think I'm almost out of that. No! Then I'm just making sure to dry it off. And as that sinks in, I feel like it really helps to bring back the skin-like effect. Even though, again, you've got coverage on and you might have a full coverage foundation on and some blemishes, it really kind of helps bring that natural radiance back to the skin. All right, so now we're gonna move to eyelashes. I feel like when it comes to red carpet, the lashes usually look really natural, but at the same time, really full and really glamorous. But it's not like they're wearing strip lashes, if that makes sense. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with the Voluminous Base. This is the Lash Primer from L'Oreal. I really did notice a difference when using this, so I'm gonna go ahead and pop this on the top and bottom lashes. And a primer actually will help condition the lashes too. That's not something that I have really used before, but I've been really into lash primers recently. They kind of protect your lashes, and then they also help the mascara glide on better, so it's kind of a good product to have around. Then I'm gonna go in with my L'Oreal Voluminous Lash Paradise Mascara on both the top and bottom lashes. I'm gonna do about 2 coats. So while the mascara mascara dries, I'm just gonna go ahead and touch up the brows a little bit. So I'm gonna brush through them. I feel like on the red carpet, the brows have more of a natural look, but they're also nice and defined at the same time. So sometimes after I do my makeup, maybe some foundation gets into the brows, and I don't really have super full brows to begin with. So just kind of going back in and touching up really helps. I like to keep most of the definition on the outside of the brow, and then as I move inward, I use a really light hand for around the center, and then it also really helps to kind of brush through the brows. That kind of brings back a more natural look. See how the skin kind of has that natural glow and radiance to it? Nobody would know that underneath all this is like a splotchy, acne-prone skin. Obviously, you can kind of still see some texture through there, but when you're photographed, since that area is matte, you really won't see it. So a lot of times on the red carpet, makeup artists will use individual lashes, and again, this will kind of provide a fuller lash effect without looking like they're wearing false lashes, which is kind of the red carpet vibe usually. Like, they all look so naturally beautiful, and this kind of helps achieve a naturally full lash when really there are false lashes in there, but you can't tell hardly as much as like a strip lash. So I have two sizes here, and also these are fabulous. These are also from the drugstore, and they're amazing. The R-Gel individuals, these are the Not Free in both short and medium. I like to create more of a cat eye effect, so that's why I picked up the medium, and I'm going to add just a couple more on the outside. I love how that mascara makes my lashes look, so really you wouldn't have to do this if you have naturally full lashes, but just in case you want to take it to the next level or it's a really special occasion, you can always try this out. I actually have an entire video dedicated to how to apply individual lashes, which I will also link down below just to save some time on this video. So I'm just gonna go ahead and apply some, and I will be right back. So the lashes are now applied. As you can see, it's not anything dramatic, but it definitely does fill in the gaps and kind of adds a natural, more fuller lash, which I absolutely love. This is a little bit time consuming, so make sure that if you do plan on doing this, that you give yourself enough time and practice beforehand. Last but not least, let's do the lips. So I'm gonna go in with the Flower Beauty Petal Pout Lip Liner in the shade Nude. So going off of the reference picture, it looks like her lips are a little bit more of a brownish berry color. So off of the drugstore lipsticks that I have, this one seems pretty close. It's a little bit more of a brown than a berry. This is from Flower Beauty. It's their Mix and Matte Lip Duos in the shade Bronze Envy. So I'm just gonna go in with the lipstick side first. This looks like almost an exact color dupe for the lip color Patrick Ta used. It's really pretty. It doesn't look like she has gloss on, but I feel like that adds a little something extra. It makes things look a little more luxe and draws attention to the lips. So I'm gonna go ahead and use the other side of this. It's kind of like a metallic looking gloss, and I'm just gonna pop this mainly in the center of the lips to add just a little bit more dimension. Okay, I'm going in again with the Morphe Continuous Mist. Oh no, I'm officially out. But I just feel like doing one more layer is gonna really lock down that powder, lock down the makeup, and bring back the natural skin look. And then for me personally, I love to set the brow, so I'm gonna go ahead and go in with my Maybelline Brow Precise Fiber Volumizer. Mine is in the shade Soft Brown, and I'm going to really lightly set the brows with this. You could also use a clear mascara from the drugstore. I think I may have tossed mine because it was almost out, so this is what I'm going to use, but if you don't want a tint, you could always use a clear mascara. Or a clear brow gel, of course. So there you have it, you guys. That completes my red carpet ready look. Perfect for any special occasion, anytime that you want to look really glam, but in a natural way. And also, especially if you have problem skin, hopefully this really helped you. I hope that you guys learned a thing or two about how I like to cover up blemishes and things like that. And I hope that you guys are inspired by this look. I love the fact that it's created with all drugstore products. It just makes it that much better. I feel like you don't always have to spend a fortune on makeup to make it look like you have a red carpet ready face. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. I definitely loved filming it for you. The last tip that I have is wherever you are going, always carry yourself with confidence and with a smile. Nothing is more beautiful than confidence and a radiant smile. So be sure to take that with you along with a positive attitude and just be yourself. That's the best kind of makeup anyone can wear. Let me know what hacks you guys have for covering up blemishes and things like that in the comments below. I would love to hear what you guys like to do. Thanks again for watching, you guys. I love you all so much, and I will see you in my next video. Love you. Bye!